Well, first of all, welcome to everybody. And I was going to ask founding members to just raise their hands, or apparently I can't find it, but there's a little raise hand thing that you should be able to see the participants. So we can welcome founding members, and so we can thank you from those of us on the board. And from all of us on the board, thanks to everyone for being here, those of you who want to learn more about Impact. And we're delighted to have you. Very early in the year, I had envisioned that the first meeting would be at Open City, which is this great coffee house slash bar slash diner on Calvert Street. And I had them all, they were ready to give us their porch. And so that's where the first real meeting will be held, whenever that comes. So I'm going to start with a brief overview of Impact, the model, and then a rundown of where we are with Impact100 DC. You'll hear from several board members about specifics in some of our areas of work, and then we'll have plenty of time for Q&A. So right now, just in the interest of minimizing ambient noise, we're going to mute you all. If you have questions along the way, you can also, and you don't want to forget them, there's also a chat box somewhere that you can enter questions in, or we'll recognize you later. So for those of you who are new to the impact model, I'm going to start at the beginning, but I'll go quickly. At the core, Impact100 is a straightforward, simple model for women's philanthropy. 100 women joined together, contributed. Was I muted all this time?
Yeah, you're muted.
Sorry,
I was muted all this time?
I went to mute all and it muted you as well. So I'm so sorry. It wasn't the whole time. It was for about 60 seconds. So I'm not sure.
Share your screen.
All right, I don't think you missed much. Okay, so 100 women joined together, contribute $1,000 each, and give away a $100,000 grant to a local nonprofit organization. So the idea was developed by Wendy Steele in 2001 in Cincinnati, Ohio. And it was widely publicized thanks to People magazine, who wrote an article on her about 6 months later. There are now over 50 impact chapters in the US and beyond, and thousands of members. Pensacola, Florida, which began the year after Wendy launched in Cincinnati, is the largest, with over 1,000 members. So they give away a lot. Wendy Steele now leads the Impact100 Council, which serves in part as a resource for startups and as a clearinghouse for best practices. I mention all this because the sprawling Impact100 network has been hugely helpful to us during the startup phase. We have sought and benefited from the advice and resources of numerous impact leaders and the Impact Council as we have developed our organizational policies and procedures, and as we develop materials for the grant process. So again, back to the core of the model. 100 women, $1,000 annual membership, a $100,000 annual grant in what is an all-volunteer organization. Grant applications are accepted in 5 broad focus areas: arts and culture, education, family, health and wellness, and environment. We accept proposals from Washington, DC, Montgomery and PG counties in Maryland, Fairfax and Arlington counties in Virginia, and the city of Falls Church, Arlington, and Alexandria. The impact model works on a yearly calendar. There's a 3 or so month period for membership, recruiting, and renewal, followed by the announcement of the grant amount, followed by information sessions for nonprofits and invitations to apply, formation of focus area committees, and a lengthy period of grant review. Grant recipients are chosen by a vote of the full membership at the annual meeting, and the cycle begins again. 100% of each $1,000 annual membership donation goes into the pool of money for the grant. So that's the outline of the model. But each impact chapter across the country is its own autonomous entity and as unique as the community it serves. So now let's turn to Impact100 DC. We began our work in earnest last summer and early fall with the approval of bylaws, the filing of an application to the IRS for 501c3 nonprofit status, the creation of an Impact DC mission and vision, and a small committed group of women. Fast forward to late winter and early spring, with IRS approval, policies and procedures in place, a website up and running, we finally had all the pieces in place to begin outreach efforts in earnest. It has not necessarily been perfect timing for us as a startup. I think one of the factors that distinguishes us from many other long-standing philanthropic organizations in the area is that we are striving to build a new community in a time of exceptional upheaval. First, the coronavirus, a challenge for every one of us, and yet a scourge that has disproportionately affected many as a result of the unequal access to quality health care that has been taking its toll for generations. An unprecedented lack of national leadership. An economy on incredibly shaky footing. The death of George Floyd at the hands of police, an undeniable act of racism that has catalyzed a national reckoning. All of this has compelled us to be quite reflective as a young organization in who we want to be and how we want to get there. This is our mission and vision. Our goals from the outset have been threefold: the creation of yearly high-impact grants, the creation of a diverse community of women that is reflective of our widely diverse metropolitan DC area, and the empowerment of women as leaders and agents of change. When we seemed to be at a crisis point with COVID this spring, we had discussions about whether we should revisit the idea of such a sizable grant that we won't be awarding until next year, when there is so much immediate need, and also whether we should postpone membership development efforts given the state of the economy. But we came to a unanimous agreement that we should stay the course. While we are not in a position to help on the front lines, so to speak, there will surely be even more need for the high impact grants we hope to provide during what will be a recovery of years. So more recently, in the aftermath of George Floyd's death and the national reckoning it catalyzed regarding the fact that systemic racism is still woven into the fabric of our institutions and systems, we have had discussions on our responsibilities as individuals and as a board with regard to taking action. First and foremost, as we work in partnership with nonprofit organizations who are on the front lines of addressing unmet needs in our community, we realize that we need to be fully aware of existing structures of power and privilege at the root of so many community problems and of the overarching need for systemic change. We recently revised our vision statement to reflect the priority we will place on grant proposals that target disparities from systemic and entrenched inequality. Each Impact board member has committed to continuing their individual work on issues of race and equity at whatever point in the journey they may be, to more fully understand the history and impact of systemic racism. There has long been a significant body of writing on these issues, but the literature seems to be exploding. We will be having ongoing discussions as a full board on our joint reading. In terms of working to achieve diversity within the organization, we are devoting the whole of 2020 to membership development of a founding board in the interest of having sufficient time to conduct effective outreach. After this first cycle, which will end with a grant award in September of 2020, we will put ourselves on a yearly cycle that's more in line with the model, with only several months for membership recruitment. We are being intentional about developing a diverse board. There are officer positions yet to be filled, including, as you can see, that of Vice President, President-elect position I'm particularly interested in filling. And numerous chair positions are open as well. We are advertising those positions, and we are reaching out to other area organizations to let them know about our work. We need the help of our members to broaden our outreach, and to that end, we are in the process of forming a strategic outreach committee composed of member volunteers and board members. More on that in just a bit. With regard to making it possible for women of disparate financial means to become involved, we have created a scholarship fund. It's small now, but we hope to expand it through a robust Friends program. And we have shared memberships available for 2 women to contribute $500 each and then have 1 vote between them. A little bit more on those programs later as well. So I'd like to turn just for a minute to just a little bit about why I became involved with Impact DC. I love the DC area. I've lived here since 1975. After working in politics in my early days, I went back to school for a teaching certificate and a master's in music, and then spent 24 years at Holton Arms. When I think back to my time there, so much of my work was guided by the idea of the power that exists in a strong sense of community and the role that music played in building strong communities. I witnessed that power time and time again in the community singing group that brought together all constituencies in the school community, in the tiny village in Ghana where I spent time studying the music there that is central to every community, to the Indonesian gamelan music I taught, in which there were no stars, no privileged members, but rather a system of interlocking parts. When I retired, what I missed most was the educational community, the spirit of lifelong learning that was so inspiring. So when I began learning about Impact DC, it was the idea, or Impact 100, it was the idea of a community of women, with each individual leveraging her perspectives, experiences, and resources in order to create a stronger impact than any of us can do alone. That got me just totally energized. I love the fact that 100% of each member's $1,000 contribution goes to the nonprofit, and the fact that each woman gets an equal say in where the money goes. You could contribute, say, $5,000, and we would welcome that. But you still only get one vote. The focus on 5 broad giving areas makes good sense to me. Family, health, wellness, education, arts and culture, environment are all critical components of a healthy community, and all areas where significant disparities exist in terms of access and access to quality. I like the fact that members design their own experience as Impact 100. We all have different demands on our time, different responsibilities. So you can simply write a check and vote. And that is huge. $1,000 is a lot of money, not an investment lightly made by anyone. And there is also the added power in the pooling of contributions. So you can contribute, come to the annual meeting and vote, and that's huge. Or you can volunteer, and more on that later. I'm sure you have questions by this point. Don't forget them. I'm going now to introduce you to members of the Impact Board, and they can fill in some additional blanks for you, and then we will open things up to a Q&A. So first off, I would like to introduce members of our grants team. Sharon Dennis and Ilona Talecki co-chair the grants committee. Sharon wears a number of other hats as well, by the way, as many members of the board do. She is the board secretary, and she's also taken the lead on governance issues during the last year. We have 2 out of the 5 focus area committee chairs positions filled. Bonnie Harkness will chair the family focus area committee, and Vivian Aguayo, the health focus area committee. So I'll turn it over to Sharon for a few minutes, who will have to unmute.
Hi, thank you. Is this, you can hear me now, yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. Let me start by explaining the aim of our grant review process. We want to be responsible stewards of your donations while also providing nonprofits with a process that is both accessible and fair while remaining true to our mission and values. So how do we plan to accomplish this lofty goal? First of all, I wanted to assure everybody that we take our responsibility extremely seriously, and we're doing a lot of hard work to make this thing work. We will combine a sophisticated knowledge of area needs with a rigorous evaluation rubric. We want to ensure that when the finalists come before you at our annual meeting, we will have done our due diligence to ensure that first, the staff and leadership of the organizations are fully capable of successfully implementing the program. And second, that our sizable grant will be in the hands of a fiscally sound organization. Here are some examples of areas we will review. First, does the proposal fit squarely within our mission and values? Does the proposed budget realistically forecast costs? Does the applicant have a successful track record with working on this issue or with this targeted population? Is there evidence the applicant will be able to measure and report back on expected outcomes? Will the organization be able to sustain this program after our funding concludes? And of course, what is it about this program that makes it transformational? Now, what does all this mean for you, our volunteer members who will be doing the grant review work? For you, the process begins with focus area committee signups early next year. Everyone is welcome regardless of background or experience. We want this to be inclusive. We want to empower women and teach them about philanthropy even if you had nothing to do with it before. Training starts in April. While all are welcome, regardless of experience, our goal is to train you so that you are fully prepared for the tasks. For example, among other things, you will learn how to use and apply a proposal scoring rubric as described earlier. We hope to begin developing the training curriculum by early fall. We're currently looking at how many different impact chapters across the country run their grants process for ideas and inspiration. Work begins in earnest in late spring, early summer, when grant applications are assigned to committee members for review. Committee members will come together in June and July for meetings and discussions. You will select a small number of applications to send to the Finance Committee for further review. The Finance Committee will determine if the budgets are complete, accurate, and realistic, or if there's any red flags in the applicant's financial records. Finance will then give those applications a green light, a caution, or a full stop. Whoever makes it past Finance gets a site visit. Finally, in August, you will get together one last time for final discussions and your vote for your focus area finalist. Then we will publicly announce each finalist in each category in September. So that's basically the process. I should probably add that since we have no idea what's going on with COVID, meetings may be in person, hopefully, or virtual, or some combination. Also, to make the grant review process easier, we are using a grants review program platform that will ease your reading and scoring and ability to collaborate with others on your team. So the grant making process is really the heart of what we do here at Impact DC, and I hope that the process sounds appealing and rewarding to you. Now I'm going to turn it over to Alona and Bonnie for some powerful examples of what a $100,000 grant could do.
Thank you, Sharon. Hi everyone. My name is Ilona Teleki, and I'm the grants co-chair, as Anne mentioned. And I wanted to tell you how I got involved with Impact100 DC. And it's this powerful example of this nonprofit called A Bed for Me, which you see on your screen, that really inspired me, led me first to Anne and Sharon, and in the early days, and inspired me to join the board. I have a very close friend who lives in Northwest Florida and who spends the summer in Washington. And one summer, all she could talk about was this work she was doing with this group called Impact100 Northwest Florida. And she told me all about these nonprofit organizations and the needs that they were filling in the community. And it was so inspiring. And this one in particular really spoke to me. It is a nonprofit that through referrals from school counselors and churches and other places identifies children that don't have a bed to sleep in at bedtime, which is it's just a sad thing, but also the American Academy of Pediatrics, they have lots of research about how sleep deprivation, it impacts negatively school performance, behavior, self-esteem, can lead to health issues, depression. And so just learning about this nonprofit and thinking about what they were doing in their communities, getting beds for children and letting the children pick out their bed linen, so if they like superheroes, and getting them involved in the process was fantastic. So in that year, A Bed for Me provided, I think I have it written down, 438 beds, and they also were able to get a truck that was covered to allow them to deliver when they promised to the children. And being in Florida, where it sometimes rains just quite suddenly, was sometimes impacting their efforts. So in any case, this nonprofit, and learning about how how being a part of a larger community, pooling your resources and being able to understand the needs of your communities that may not be apparent to you, and being able to work with other women to give a large grant to incredible nonprofits who are doing incredible work was really what spoke to me. So I will turn it now to Bonnie next to talk about another powerful example.
Don't forget to unmute.
Okay, can you
There
hear
you
me
go.
now?
Yep.
I'm Bonnie Harkness, and I'm the chair of the Family Focus grants. And I want to give you what I think was a really wonderful example of the kind of thing we're trying to achieve. This took place in Cincinnati with the Impact100 there. And as we all know, racial and ethnic minorities receive lower quality health care. As a matter of fact, in the United States, that inequality is more profound than it is in 10 other wealthy nations. So in 2006, the St. Vincent de Paul Charitable Pharmacy was given a grant by Impact100, which provides free medication and professional pharmaceutical care to people in 4 counties. They were able to build a new dispensary and provide the salary for an additional part-time pharmacist and allow it to remain open 6 days a week. So when you ask why I'm interested in Impact100, you can see what a huge difference that would make for the people in those communities. And I'll quote Desmond Tutu, who said, "My humanity is bound up in yours, for we can only be human together." So I'll turn it over to Ellen.
Ellen needs to unmute too while she's unmuting. Ay.
I'm unmuted.
Oh, good.
Yep. Thanks very much, Bonnie. And welcome founding members. And yes, I'm Ellen Savon, membership chair. And we're so glad that you could all join us today. I'd like to begin with a quick summary of where we are in membership numbers. To date, we have 25 founding members, and we also have 2 Friends of Impact, a category which Anne will tell you a little more about shortly. As you've heard, we have 2 membership goals this year. One is to reach a total of 100 members by Labor Day, and the other is to have 200 members on board by the end of the year. Thus, we all, as founding members, really have our work cut out for us. So I'm going to outline for you several ways in which you can help in that process. But first, a reminder of the 2 most important responsibilities of members. Number 1 is to contribute $1,000 annually, and $1,100 or more if you'd like, which is the Member Plus category. That one is tremendously appreciated as it helps us so much with numerous operating expenses. The other important responsibility is to cast your vote at the annual meeting when our grant or grants are awarded. And in addition to that, we need and welcome volunteers. As you've read on our website and in our newsletters, Impact100 members are able to design their own experiences within this all-volunteer organization. I'd like to let you know about several of those volunteer opportunities. And that's in the next slide, I think. So the first of the volunteer opportunities, you can join one of our 5 focus area committees, which you have heard about earlier: health and wellness, education, family, arts and culture, or environment. We'll begin assembling those groups at the beginning of 2021 after our annual membership drive is closed at the end of December 2020, and we announce the size of the funds available for our grant. Another opportunity for outreach is individual outreach. And this one is especially important since we've devoted the rest of this entire year to membership outreach. So I urge you to think far and wide to make those contacts. Here are some ways you could do so. Invite a board member to speak at your book club, your mom's group, your neighborhood get-together, church group, a lunch gathering, or your professional organization. You can forward our newsletter to friends and colleagues. The newsletter is issued at the end of each month, and it has updates and event announcements. You can also spread the word through social media. Follow and like us. We are connected. The communications and marketing team on our board is going to be sharing with you today the ways that you can participate in that process. There are also several ways you can help us with our operations. We need your expertise in the following areas: database management for membership and grant platforms, finance, particularly in reviewing data in grant applications, graphic design for print and digital advertising or outreach materials, posters, whatever talents you have, we can use you. And finally, event planning. We can use your organizational skills to assist with coordinating and implementing recruiting events for our 2 to 3 big annual events, which were mentioned earlier. So you can contact us using either of the 2 emails that you see on this slide as soon as you've decided on an area in which you'd like to participate. Membership@impact100dc.org or president@impact100dc.org. So if these particular skills are not on your resume, that's okay, because I bet you have a friend or colleague who does have one or more of these skills or gifts, and that's the person you can call tomorrow and tell her all about Impact 100 DC. The very last thing that I'd like to cover is how we are making membership available to women who are ready to join Impact 100 DC, but who currently lack the funds to do so. There are 3 possibilities that you see on the screen in this particular category. The first is our scholarship program. We've created a scholarship fund as part of our Friends of Impact 100 DC. This year, we intend to offer a limited number of scholarships depending on available funds. And this year, that application process is open through Labor Day. This program helps support our vision of building a diverse community of women from all backgrounds, ages, and walks of life who are committed to making a difference in our Washington, D.C. metropolitan area.
Hey, Ellen,
Yeah.
there's a lot of noise coming from you.
Uh-oh.
Just keep your papers a little stiller.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
The next one is shared memberships. In this category, one membership may be shared by 2 women. However, only 1 vote is allowed between those 2 members at the annual meeting. And the third category is member sponsorships. You can give the gift of membership to sponsor new members who otherwise couldn't afford to join Impact 100 DC, either at the $500 level, which requires the member to match the sponsorship, or at the $1,000 level, which is for a full membership. In addition, businesses have the opportunity to sponsor an employee to become a member. The employee would have the opportunity to be involved in Impact's grant-making process, to gain leadership skills and expand to professional connections. It's a win for the employer as well as the new employee, the new member, sorry. So more information about all of these opportunities for members are, as well as application forms, can be found on our website at www.impact100dc.org. So I hope each of you is able to take advantage of one or more of these options and either volunteer for a new learning opportunity within Impact, or to lend us a hand with your special skill set, and especially to reach out to friends and colleagues about us. Help us attain our goal of 100 members by Labor Day, which I might just add, is exactly 60 days away.
Uh-oh.
So thanks so much. I'll be happy to answer your questions about membership at the end of our presentation. Anne?
Thanks, Ellen. Excuse me. I want to go back quickly to a point I made earlier, which is that every penny of your $1,000 membership contribution goes to the grant. And yet we still have to defray critical operating expenses and fund programs that support our mission. So that is why we rely so heavily on the generosity of Members Plus, for one thing, which is that extra $100 that we hope you will consider giving, or more, to help us with those operating expenses. And we also rely on our Friends of Impact program, which is open to both members and non-members. Through that program, generous individuals and companies can help fund operating expenses, contribute to our scholarship fund, donate in-kind services. One of these days, maybe we'll need some catering. I hope that will come, and more. So we could also use your help identifying Friends of Impact DC. And if you wanted to lead the Friends of Impact DC, we need that as well. We need a chair of that committee. So you might think about that. And now I'd like to introduce our chairs of marketing and communications, Stacy Beck and Lori Finch.
Thank you, Anne. And I am super excited to be sitting here and seeing all the faces and participating in this, and also excited to work with the Impact Board and Stacy on the area of communications and marketing. I think there's one more slide. Right. In the early stages of Impact100 DC, marketing and communications is really an important tool for outreach. And one of our main objectives, in addition to providing updates to you, which you hopefully are getting and reading and sharing through our newsletter, our website, and then social media. We're on LinkedIn. We've got a LinkedIn group where you can join, and then we're also on Twitter. Is that we're really focused on helping recruit new members. Our priority is around a very strategic outreach and to build a diverse Impact100 DC community. So to that end, we will be building out a committee. So we are looking for people who want to participate and help us with strategic outreach. We'll be partnering with Ellen and really providing the marketing and communications plan to help us do that. In addition, we're open to any ideas that you have as it relates to outreach and communications and keeping you in the loop. We'll have, again, we're on LinkedIn, Twitter, and then our website, impact100dc.org, is a great resource for learning more about what we're doing and seeing our updates as they come out. I'm going to turn it, I think it's Stacey's up next, but.
And I think it's Betty, unless Stacy has something to add.
I think, nope, it's Betty then.
Okay, Betty is our treasurer. Very important job, and she'll give you a snapshot of our financial picture, and then you'll learn a little bit more in detail why we need friends.
Thank you, Anne, and thank you, everyone. I'm happy to be here, and as everybody said, happy to join this organization. It speaks to me as well, having women who are, empowered to be very involved in the local community. As both Ellen and Anne have very nicely highlighted, we have, if you want to go to the next slide, I think. Yeah, this is a snapshot of where we are right now. As it's early days, our grant income, we currently have $23,000, and we have some additional members that we'll be getting funds from. And our operating income, we have about $5,300 that is going toward funds to pay for our expenses. That includes a pretty generous friends contribution there. We anticipate that we will have ongoing operating expenses of about $8,000 a year. So we really will rely on those friends and those $100, $200 membership contributions toward those operating expenses. as we've gotten our arms around the types of things that we have to spend money on, it's going to change once we get into the grant program. Right now, we have a website that costs $2,000 to start up that we won't have to do, but we have email communications that we have to pay for. We're paying for Zoom. It's a very pretty skinny budget. So it's not that much, but the types of platforms that we need and the 3 jurisdictions that we have to have filing fees for, it's not really going to be any less than $8,000 a year. So that's really important. Going forward, once we get, as we reach our goals and get closer to our goal of the $100,000 and then the $200,000, we will not be expending that grant money for probably another year, September of 2021. So as treasurer and as we're going through the finance process, we'll really be looking at making sure that we can protect those funds, invest it, but have it ready for when the grants need to be dispersed. So that's really what's on my plate over the next 4 or 5 months. And that's pretty much it.
Thanks so much, Betty. Well, you have now been introduced in some form or other to each of our 9 board members. And I would like at this point also to acknowledge and thank a number of past founding board members who have remained committed to our work but have decided to be involved in different ways. And some of them are on this call tonight, which is great. Susan Nussbaum, Iris Morton, Brenda Ewing, Janelle Haskell, and Linda Madden. They were all part of establishing Impact DC's footing and helping us chart our initial direction. So I do so wish that we could meet in person so that we could do a little bit of mingling and you could really get to know us just a little bit more. One of the best parts of this work so far for me has been getting to know a group of women whom I otherwise would not have met and who are so talented and really doing remarkable things. So I hope you will go to our website and read their bios. It's good reading. In the meantime, I thought it would be nice for you to hear just a couple of words from our 2 newest members. So first is Vivian Aguayo, who is chair of the Health Focus Area Committee and also a member of our Many Hats Club. She is helping us with some database management and membership and outreach. So Vivian.
Thank you very much, Anne. It's great to see so many wonderful smiling faces this lovely evening. And I just wanted to share a bit briefly about why I was so excited and happy to join Impact100 DC. Honestly, there are really just 2 key aspects of the decision. The first of all was meeting Anne and just really connecting with someone and hearing from her passion and commitment to the diversity of the Washington metropolitan area. We all fully understand how wonderful this place that we call home is, and was honestly talking about equity before even current events sort of shifted the focus of our entire nation. And then the second aspect was just the aspect of collective action. It really is amazingly powerful when women come together, and just the idea that I know personally I do not have $100,000 to give to the change agents of our grassroots and community organizations, but I so value the work that they do. And so the idea that here we can join together and just make these phenomenal changes in our community, it really inspired me.
Thanks so much, Vivian. And Stacy.
Hi, my name is Stacy Beck. I first got involved with Impact100 when I learned that 2 women that I thought the world of from very different areas of my life were involved in this organization, and I knew that I needed to learn more. And then once I did, I was so impressed both with the commitment that Anne and the entire board has to addressing the inequities that exist, I mean, around our country, but particularly in the Washington area, and how quickly and seriously they wanted to adapt our mission once national events became really focused on race, and even become more committed to making that a part of the work of this organization. And the second thing that really impressed me, and I think, you know, as has been noted earlier, $1,000 is a lot of money and none of us give it up easily. And the fact that they have been so serious with the rigor they have put into the grants process in terms of making sure that this is money well spent, that it will have the ability to impact lives, but that also that the organizations who receive it are equipped to handle the money and report back. So all the people who have done the hard work of giving their hard-earned money and choosing a recipient then gets the reward of knowing how that money did in fact impact lives. So I hope that all of you who are on the board decide to join up, and please let me or Lori know if you're interested in helping us with marketing.
Great, thanks. Well, we're just about to turn this over to some questions from you all. We have one more slide that our marketing folks thought was crucial, and that is a call to action. Next one, there you go. If you are not a member, we would love to have you as a founding member. I think you will appreciate being a part of this group, and we would love to have you. If you don't feel ready or able to join Impact 100, make a donation of any size. We would welcome that. And please help us spread the word. Please help us move out into the community and let people know that we're here. So that's your call to action. And now we're going to unmute you, I think. And
I think everyone, I didn't mute everyone. They'll have to unmute themselves. I was afraid to mute everyone after the first disaster.
Okay, well, everybody unmute yourselves, and you have a little hand raising icon somewhere that we can see under the participant screen, or just raise your hand.
If you open the chat window, and it says chat, and where is it? Somewhere in the, to everyone a message. Oh shoot, I did see it before. That's where it was, but now I can't find it.
Right in the middle on the bottom of the screen.
Yep.
Of the chat